Today, we will talk about addressing individuals' common ethical problems. Business ethics can significantly impact your career, with mishandling ethical issues potentially causing lasting damage. However, many ethical challenges are predictable, such as requests for special deals, misuse of corporate resources, or discrimination. Anticipating these issues can better equip you to handle them effectively. The relationship between employees and employers resembles a contractual agreement involving mutual expectations and responsibilities. Employees expect fair treatment and a suitable work environment, while employers expect loyalty and appropriate behavior. Common ethical problems at work can be categorized into human resources issues, conflicts of interest, customer confidence issues, and the use of corporate resources. Each category includes a definition, the ethical implications, ways to approach the issue, potential consequences, and relevant notes for further understanding. This chapter explores how to act on ethical values when facing organizational pressure, drawing from research and the Giving Voice to Values program at the Aspen Institute. The fundamental question addressed is, once you've determined what's right based on your values, how do you actually do it? According to ethics experts, the answer lies in practice. Post-World War II research revealed that many Europeans who risked their lives to help Nazi victims had previously practiced ethical decision-making by imagining hypothetical moral dilemmas and discussing potential actions with others. This created a form of pre-scripting that laid the groundwork for later heroic actions, giving them a head start in moral courage. The Giving Voice to Values program is rooted in this premise, starting with the assumption that people know what they want to do and focusing on figuring out how to make it happen. The program encourages comprehensive self-assessment across several dimensions. First, individuals must identify their core values such as honesty, respect, responsibility, compassion, and fairness, and develop their personal narrative by reflecting on life experiences that built character and provide strength in difficult times. The example of Daniel Vasella, CEO of Novartis, illustrates how childhood health challenges and losses shaped his commitment to helping others in healthcare. The program also includes 5 key self-assessment areas: questions of purpose, professional goals, and what makes work worthwhile; risk, personal risk tolerance; communication style, conflict preference and communication methods; loyalty, primary allegiances to family, colleagues, employer, or customers; and self-image identity as shrewd/naive, idealistic/pragmatic, learner/teacher. The program emphasizes several core principles for ethical action. It normalizes ethical dilemmas as common rather than rare occurrences, helping people anticipate and prepare for these situations without becoming paralyzed. Communication strategies are expanded beyond simply sounding off to include dialogue, listening, research, questioning, negotiating, and finding allies rather than being a lone voice. The program also addresses barriers to ethical action by helping people identify arguments to counter, understand what's at stake for all participants, and develop their most powerful arguments while recognizing rationalizations that can undermine resolve. Finally, the program embraces the concept of choice, acknowledging that even ethical people sometimes fail to act on their values. The key is maintaining self-awareness, learning from mistakes, and understanding that we can redefine ourselves with each new decision. The ultimate goal is making it easier to voice values by aligning responses with personal strengths and authentic self-image, whether that means finding bold and courageous approaches or more cautious and compliant methods that still uphold ethical standards. People issues refer to ethical problems that arise in workplace interactions, including privacy concerns, discrimination, harassment, and general interpersonal conflicts. The key concept for addressing these issues is fairness, which has three main components. 3 dimensions of fairness. Equity. Resources and rewards should be divided according to individual contributions and worth. People expect equal work to receive equal rewards. Reciprocity. Fair exchanges where mutual obligations are fulfilled. When one party fails to honor agreements, the situation becomes unfair. Impartiality. Decision-makers should be unbiased and avoid prejudging situations, as fairness is incompatible with prejudice and bias. Protective legislation and corporate HR policies incorporate these fairness principles by basing employment decisions, hiring, promotion, performance evaluation, termination on qualifications rather than irrelevant factors like sex, race, or age. The goal is creating a level playing field where performance is the primary consideration, expectations are clear and met, and bias is eliminated. Employee perceptions of fairness extend beyond just results like pay and promotions. Employees equally value fair decision-making processes and respectful interpersonal treatment when receiving communications. People are more likely to accept unfavorable news if they believe the decision process was fair, and supervisors communicate with sensitivity and care. Organizations that demonstrate fair procedures and respectful treatment send a powerful message that they value employees as important community members. This section examines workplace discrimination through a case study involving Lisa, a new mother on maternity leave whose job is being secretly filled while she's away, despite assurances that her position would be held. The case illustrates how discrimination can occur even in organizations with anti-discrimination policies, as there can be a significant gap between corporate policy and reality. When people from various backgrounds work together, conscious or unconscious biases inevitably emerge, and some individuals remain ignorant of how their behavior affects others. Discrimination occurs whenever factors other than qualifications affect how employees are treated, resulting in unequal and usually unfavorable treatment. This can manifest in various forms, from age-related tensions between older and younger workers to racial, ethnic, religious, or sexual stereotypes that influence behavior even among sophisticated individuals. The problem extends beyond obvious barriers like the glass ceiling, for women to include obstacles faced by people over 50, those with medical conditions, or anyone who varies from perceived corporate norms. In Lisa's case, her maternity leave is being viewed as a liability, and her department is conducting an end run by keeping her uninformed while filling her position, which seems fundamentally unfair. The ethical analysis of such situations can be approached through multiple theoretical lenses. A consequentialist perspective would examine the benefits and harms to all stakeholders, weighing short-term workplace efficiency against long-term effects on other female employees and company culture. A deontological approach would focus on duties and obligations to Lisa and the employer, applying principles like the Golden Rule and Kant's categorical imperative. Virtue ethics would consider personal character, intentions, and how the decision would appear if made public. Each framework helps illuminate different aspects of the ethical dilemma and can guide decision-making about whether and how to act on Lisa's behalf. Discrimination is fundamentally an issue of workplace fairness, which is considered an inalienable right in the United States and is protected by extensive federal legislation. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on race, religion, sex, color, and national origin, while subsequent laws protect pregnant women, workers over 40, and disabled individuals. The financial costs of discrimination are enormous, with recent judgments including $29 million to a single UBS plaintiff, $70 million to Morgan Stanley female employees, and over $100 million against Merrill Lynch. Beyond monetary damages, discrimination lawsuits damage employee morale company-wide, create public embarrassment, and can result in investigations, penalties, or terminations for individuals involved. The section concludes by distinguishing between valuing diversity and discrimination, noting that these concepts can seem contradictory to diversity training efforts. Valuing diversity means treating people equally while incorporating their diverse ideas, representing positive action that adds fairness to organizational systems. In contrast, discrimination involves treating people unequally because of their differences, creating negative outcomes and unfairness. The key principle is understanding that different doesn't mean deficient. Differences should be recognized and valued rather than used as grounds for unequal treatment. This approach allows organizations to benefit from diverse perspectives while maintaining fairness and legal compliance. People and corporations exist within complex webs of personal and professional relationships, where personal reputation and company reputation are closely linked to how well these relationships are managed. The ability to act impartially and appear to act impartially is essential to fulfilling employment obligations. This creates challenges when personal and professional relationships intersect, as illustrated by a scenario where a customer offers to write a recommendation letter for an employee's daughter applying to university. The customer is also an alumnus and major fundraiser for the school. A conflict of interest occurs when judgment or objectivity is compromised, and importantly, the appearance of a conflict is generally considered just as damaging as an actual conflict. Recent examples highlight the serious consequences of such conflicts. Rating agencies like Standard & Poor's contributed to the financial crisis by rating mortgage-backed securities while being paid by the companies whose securities they rated, making objective evaluation difficult or impossible. Similarly, the University of Texas fired its financial aid director in 2007 for steering students toward loan companies that provided him with gifts and stock rather than those offering the best terms or services. Conflicts of interest can arise in numerous business situations and take various forms. Overt bribes or kickbacks represent clear conflicts, regardless of whether they involve money or other valuable items offered in exchange for access or influence. Subtle bribes include gifts and entertainment, leading many organizations to establish policies limiting gift acceptance. Some hospitals even prohibit accepting pens from pharmaceutical representatives to avoid any appearance of bias when prescribing medications. The reciprocity principle is often used as a guideline. If you cannot reciprocate with equivalent gifts or entertainment, it's probably inappropriate to accept what's being offered. Influence-based conflicts arise from relationships themselves. such as when someone responsible for purchasing decisions has personal connections to potential vendors. In such cases, the person should recuse themselves from decision-making or arrange for blind competitions where bidder identities are known only to uninvolved parties. Privileged information conflicts occur when employees have access to valuable competitive information, making it problematic to work for competitors simultaneously. Transparency and full disclosure to all employers can help manage these situations appropriately. The ethical analysis of conflicts of interest benefits from multiple theoretical approaches. Consequentialist thinking examines who benefits and whether the decision serves the greater good rather than personal interests. Deontological approaches focus on fairness and creating level playing fields for all parties, asking what kind of world we would want to live in if such practices were universal. Virtue ethics considers what actions we would be comfortable seeing reported publicly and how they reflect on our character and professional integrity. Conflicts of interest are fundamentally ethical problems because they erode trust, which forms the basis of all personal and corporate relationships. Trust exists only when individuals and organizations feel they're being treated fairly, openly, and on equal terms with others. When special favors appear to be extended to special friends, it may enhance one relationship but damages all others. Certain professions like banking, accounting, law, and medicine have special fiduciary responsibilities due to their access to sensitive, confidential client information. The costs of conflicts of interest can be severe, ranging from company investigations and disciplinary action to termination and arrests in cases involving bribes or kickbacks. Professional reputations can be severely damaged, as demonstrated by the 2006 case where Jefferies Group was fined $5.5 million for conflicts involving Fidelity Investments. A Jefferies trader used lavish gifts and entertainment to influence Fidelity traders, helping the firm rise from 50th to 15th place in brokerage commissions, but ultimately resulting in the broker's termination, industry investigation, substantial fines, and negative publicity that damaged both companies' reputations. Customer confidence extends beyond the traditional customer is always right principle to encompass comprehensive ethical responsibilities including quality products, honest representation, and privacy protection. This framework includes 4 key areas: confidentiality, personal responsibility, truth-telling, and special fiduciary duties that form the foundation of trust-based business relationships. Confidentiality represents a fundamental customer right that encompasses protection of sensitive business information including sales data, acquisition plans, mergers, layoffs, and personal executive matters. Some industries maintain such strict confidentiality that employees cannot even acknowledge customer relationships publicly. When handling confidential information, employees must verify requester identity, confirm access authorization, and seek management approval before releasing materials. Even internal documents marked for internal use only should never be shared without proper authorization, regardless of the requester's position. Personal responsibility for product and service quality can significantly impact organizational reputation, as demonstrated by a pharmaceutical case where a typographical error understated serious side effects from 2% to 20% probability. The ethical response requires correcting all materials despite substantial costs and delays, since the expense of correction is minimal compared to potential wrongful death lawsuits, class action suits, and devastating publicity. Solutions include reproducing materials, creating correction inserts, or distributing explanatory letters to affected parties. Truth-telling in business requires distinguishing between acceptable marketing enthusiasm and unfair deception. While consumers expect some promotional exaggeration, deliberately misleading customers crosses ethical boundaries. When a financial advisor's bond yield projections are reduced after clients have invested based on higher expectations, the ethical obligation is to contact all affected clients with corrected information before the investment period closes, regardless of personal inconvenience. Special fiduciary responsibilities apply to trust professions like banking, accounting, law, medicine, and religion, where practitioners handle sensitive client information and face higher ethical standards. The Arthur Andersen Enron scandal illustrates catastrophic consequences of failing these duties when auditor David Duncan warned about high-risk accounting practices but failed to take stronger protective action. The resulting collapse destroyed both companies, eliminated thousands of jobs, and wiped out enormous shareholder wealth. Similarly, financial advisors must protect clients from poor decisions, potentially involving family members or other professionals when elderly clients show signs of mental deterioration while demanding risky investments. These customer confidence issues represent fundamental ethical problems because they involve fairness, honesty, responsibility, truth, and respect, the essential elements of trust-based relationships. Trust builds slowly through consistent positive interactions, but can be destroyed instantly by a single dishonest act. The costs of violating customer confidence range from organizational penalties for deceptive practices to complete destruction of individual professional reputation. In specialized industries where professional communities are small and interconnected, reputation follows individuals throughout their careers and represents their most valuable business asset, requiring careful protection against the devastating consequences of ethical failures. The employer-employee relationship creates a special bond of mutual loyalty, where employees serve as corporate representatives or agents, making their actions legally and ethically equivalent to corporate actions. This section examines employee responsibilities including truthful communication, responsible resource use, and protection of corporate finances and reputation. Use of corporate reputation requires careful consideration when identifying oneself as a company employee, as this can imply speaking on behalf of the organization. Corporate letterhead should only be used for official business. When writing personal recommendations, employees should use personal stationery with business cards attached to differentiate personal opinions from corporate positions. Similarly, activities like speeches, articles, non-profit board service, or social media engagement that connect personal opinions with company identity require management authorization. For example, serving on an animal rights board while working for a pharmaceutical company that tests on animals could create embarrassing conflicts unless properly authorized. Social media and public communications present increasingly complex challenges, as demonstrated by cases where employees post confidential sales data or inappropriate sexual comments about colleagues on Facebook. Such behavior reflects poorly on employers and can result in termination, as information posted online lasts forever and cannot be truly erased. When dealing with press inquiries, even from friends or relatives, silence is the best policy unless specifically trained and authorized to speak publicly. Off-the-record communications must be established before sharing information, and employees should immediately alert public relations departments when contacted by media to avoid inadvertently revealing confidential information or casting negative light on the company. Corporate financial resources must be used exclusively for company business, with personal use constituting theft regardless of amount or intention. Whether making personal phone calls, padding expense reports, appropriating office supplies, or using copy equipment for personal projects, inappropriate resource use violates corporate policy and ethical standards. In cases where company policies permit certain benefits like meals and transportation for extended work hours, employees must genuinely follow both the letter and spirit of these policies rather than manipulating situations to maximize personal benefit. Ethical framework and personal values guide decision-making in this area through consequentialist analysis of stakeholder impacts and deontological emphasis on honesty and integrity. Employees must consider their professional reputation and career goals. Those wanting to be known as trustworthy straight shooters cannot afford to misuse resources or manipulate information. Standing up for values often requires courage to resist pressure from higher-level supervisors, and employees may need to practice articulating their ethical stance clearly and non-accusatorily. When job security is threatened by ethical stance, it may be time to seek employment elsewhere. Consequences and costs of violating employee responsibilities range from termination and arrest for theft or inflated expense reports to lawsuit risks when confidential information is inappropriately shared. Social media misconduct can short-circuit careers and damage trust relationships. Failure to maintain employer loyalty can isolate employees within corporate cultures that emphasize honesty, loyalty, and teamwork. Successful corporations function as communities or families where members protect each other and keep information private. Individuals who violate this trust through resource misuse, dishonesty, or reputation damage are frequently isolated or terminated from these corporate communities. Providing honest information within organizations represents a critical responsibility that can have serious consequences when violated. Managers may request positive spinning of financial reports or creative bookkeeping practices like delaying invoice processing to improve quarterly numbers. But such actions can lead to serious penalties when inaccurate information reaches regulators or influences crucial management decisions. Corporate scandals at companies like HealthSouth and WorldCom often began with seemingly innocent one-time requests that created downward spirals leading to prison sentences for involved employees. The importance of ethical decision-making when faced with serious wrongdoing within an organization is crucial. Whistleblowing, or reporting concerns internally or externally, necessitates careful consideration and courage, especially when significant risks are involved. Understanding personal values, practicing living those values, and contemplating potential consequences are vital in these situations. When contemplating whistleblowing, factors like the seriousness of the issue, intentions, power dynamics, risks, benefits, timing, and alternative approaches should be considered. Courage at work is viewed as calculated risk-taking, where individuals must evaluate their stance on ethical matters based on values, intentions, power dynamics, risks, and potential benefits. Approaching whistleblowing involves a systematic process starting with addressing immediate managers, documenting activities, and escalating concerns to higher levels of management or specialized departments like ethics offices, legal, or audit departments. Whistleblowing can have significant personal and professional implications, requiring careful planning, documentation, and consideration of legal protections or external reporting options. Various legislation, like the Sarbanes-Oxley Act and the False Claims Act, provides protections and incentives for whistleblowers reporting corporate misconduct. Seeking external help, contacting regulators, or even resigning from the company may be necessary if internal channels do not provide satisfactory resolutions. The experiences of whistleblowers like Sharon Watkins, Cynthia Cooper, and Colleen Rowley highlight the challenges and risks whistleblowers face, emphasizing the importance of ethical courage and integrity in standing up against wrongdoing.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to channel.